My name is Brian Billich. I work in continuing education at the Austin Community College. I manage global learning, and I am very happy to have the students and faculty or staff from EUC Nordvest, Trina Hendrickson and Kenny Thompson, have brought 43 very impressive young Danish students to Texas to visit Austin Community College to learn about Texas culture and U.S. history and work on a project-based learning experience with Projects of Purpose in partnership with Mobile Loaves Fishes and the Community First Village. And thank you so much, Austin Ramsey and Sarah Bushman, for being here today as our panelists. The students will have roughly 10 to 12 minutes to give a presentation that they have put together, featuring a few different elements of the project, such as a general awareness of homelessness, the meeting of a resident at the village, a neighbor at the village, and telling their story. Also, a 3D or 2D or 3D rendering, a model that they've put together based on feedback from the resident about things that might make their living experience better in terms of accessibility, storage, aesthetics, and then they will also talk a little bit about their rationale behind their choices and their decisions. So,
hello, my name is Frederikke.
My name is Camilla. I'm Jasmine.
I'm Marcus. And I'm Nikolai. And we have our company name Black Sofa. And we are going to tell you about what we have made in this project.
And this is our mood board.
Being chronic homeless is the most well-known type of homelessness. People who are chronically homeless have experienced homelessness for at least a year. Many times people struggling with chronic homelessness have something that is preventing them from fighting their way out of it, whether that be mental illness, a physical disability, or addiction specifically.
Being homeless can cause a lot of channels and has a lot of effects. Typically, it results in loss of ability and will to care for oneself, which increase the danger of one's personal health. It increases the danger of abuse and violence, the chance of entering the criminal justice system, and influence the development of behavioral problems.
Being homeless can cause a lot of diseases and have a negative impact on their mental health. It can also increase the possibility of getting a serious disease you can die of because of the living conditions and bacteria they live in. Homelessness itself can be considered a trauma in multiple ways. Often the loss of home, together with loss of family connections and social roles, can be traumatic.
At the Community First Village, we met Daryl. When Daryl was younger, he had a lot of friends and he was never lonely. He wasn't just necessarily just a part of one group. He talked to many different people. He was never serious about school. And he is aware that he could have done better back when he was in high school. He started taking school seriously when he went to ACC. He got his first real job where he worked 4 to 5 days a week, and he was also a voluntary for 8 to 12 hours a week while he studied. When he moved to Texas, he got a job, and then his wife got sick, and he quit his job and had to take care of her. Daryl became homeless after she died. He has been at Community First Village for 6 years now, where he lives with his dog and cat, and he is very happy for the opportunity.
So this is our design, where we have made a house for specifically for Darren, and we have a little cat house for him. And we also made a kitchen where we have put the microwave at the bottom, so it's easier for him to get to it. And we also have given him a big fridge and his cat. And Daryl told us that he was very much into sports, so we always also have put posters on the walls for him and American football, so he can enjoy. We will also have given him a television. You can see on the right corner where you can see his favorite sports when he has spare time from his workings. Yes. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question about the full-size fridge. What led you to that decision for a tiny home?
So he has much space for all his things he wants to have. Maybe he wants to have many sodas or just have some easy food to get to, so he doesn't have to cook all the time.
Great. And can you speak a little bit on the arrangement of the furniture and how you optimize the space that way?
Yeah, so we have a sofa, which also can be can turn into a bed, so it's a little more comfy. So you can invite friends over to get this hygge feeling in the room, and he also can turn it to his personal home when he has his own bed.
Great. So the accessibility issue with the couch, because it turns into a bed, Daryl is physically able to pull that out every night right now, but because it's permanent housing, have you guys thought about potential mobility issues in the future?
We haven't thought about that. We just thought that it was important for him to get some company and also have a bed. So we thought a sofa like that would be big enough for both. So we didn't choose to get a chair and a desk.
All right. Are there any issues specifically that you spoke to Daryl about that haven't been addressed by this design, or that you think could be addressed by something other than their interior design of their house?
Can you say that again?
Is there anything that you spoke to Daryl about, issues that he may come across with storage or accessibility, or even just decor that am I making sense? Okay. Are there any issues you spoke to him about that haven't been addressed by your design?
We didn't have time to talk with him about that.
Did you
So-
speak to any neighbors about issues that they're facing with storage or accessibility, cleanliness, anything like that?
I mean, we met a woman who was in a wheelchair, that she was having difficulties getting around in that. Also, if you have back problems and problems with standing up, it will also be easier to just to lay back and relax.
So it seems like you have really hit the points of personalization and community, with the couch having several different options. Having a larger fridge might also lean towards community, and a TV, so that's awesome. Is there any privacy or elements to this design as well?
I mean, we also made it to a sofa bed because then he didn't always have to go up in the living room for all the people who lives there. And he has his own space now, so he can have a little more privacy when he needs it.
Awesome. Anything that you did to adjust for maybe the cost of a home design like this? Typically, sofa beds are more expensive, and full refrigerators are a little bit more expensive. And we also typically don't have TVs automatically included in the homes because of the cost associated with it.
We didn't thought about that. in our design plan.
No worries.
Okay.
These are just all the questions we're going through. Anything else you want to add about Daryl or the design?
No, I think we are done.
Great. All right, last question. What do you think the most transformational thing that you learned from your interviews with neighbors was?
I mean, that everybody had a different story about how they get through life and what difficulties they have been living with, and seeing their perspective on different kind of things, and see how they are going through things and how they are helping each other in the community.
Great. Anything to add?
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Y'all
very
did a
much.
really nice job. Good job, good job, good job.
Yeah. Yes. So this is pictures of us in the company. From the right, we have Melina, Clara, Sigrid, Hjalte, and Matthias. Yeah. We are called the Danish Power Interior, and it is because we want to focus on timeless tiny houses. It has to be good for a lot of centuries, and we focus on the Scandinavian style. Yeah, it is the power interior, as you see here. Our resident is Sherry. She is 60 years old, and she was homeless in her car for 5 years. She grew up in Austin, and she told us that she had a very tough childhood, but it was good. She tells us that her mother tries the best she could, and they were 5 siblings, so it was hard to, get it around. And we didn't hear anything about a father. Sherry has 4 children, and we hear that she likes doing art crafts. And one thing she loves very much about the community is everything about the community and events like theater every Friday. Yeah. And we have a picture of some animals here. Yeah. She got 2 chihuahuas. And we choose the color palette here of white, blue, and brown, because it is very classic and timeless colors. Yeah, and then we also have some nips things, because she had a lot of cute stuff around in her house, and very familiar things. Yeah.
Here we have some statistics on chronic homelessness, and on the left you can see how many chronic homeless people is in the US, and since 2016 there has been a steady increase in the numbers of homelessness, and because it's so low in 2021, it's because Corona, so they couldn't count as many. And to the right, you can see homelessness in the US, and it's a more steady figure. And again, in 2021, they had a hard time with counting. And here we have some facts about homelessness. Homelessness is a person without a home and a shelter. The homeless people shelter under bridges and in their cars or other outdoors places. Most homeless people stay in the shelters when they get to a shelter, and 40% of the homeless community in the US live in unsheltered locations. It's African Americans, American Indians, and Alaska Natives, they have a higher have a higher rate of homelessness. And it costs approximately 30,000 a year to keep a person on the street, but only approximately 10,000 to give a person permanent housing, because the people on the street use emergency services more than the people in housing.
And there's been a high increase in homelessness in 2023. It is an 11% increase from 2022. And the homeless people have high risk of mental diseases such as depression and PTSD. And they have also a higher risk of diseases such as HIV, for example. And for fun, we looked at the World Inequality Database.
There you go.
For fun, we looked at the World Inequality Database to see some graphs around about the income levels in the United States. And the first one up there, from since 1980s, the poorest 50% in United States have earned under 20% of all income in the United States. And the second one is the top 10 richest in the United States. They earn about 45% of all income. So if this development keeps going, there could be potentially more homeless people in the future, and the society could be more evenly more divided in the future.
And then we have our house. As you can see, it's a very classic, kind of on the darker side, timeless look. And we chose this because we want a house that is modern now, but also modern later. And yeah, we have a person to kind of show the scale of the house. And then we have outside. Outside, you can see on the top right picture, you have 2 chairs. So Sherry can sit with a family member, and you can, of course, pull out more chairs from some of the other houses or something like that. And then you have a plant, because plants are green. Green is a happy color, and you want to be happy and grateful for what you have in life. And again, we have the house built out of some durable materials, so the house is gonna be able to be there and look fantastic for years and years. So you don't have to build a new house every time a new resident comes in. Then we have the interior. Sherry, we got the feeling that she is a warm, loving person. So for the interior, we have chosen some more like warm colors. So when you go in, it's like, it's brown, it's warm, it's inviting. You want to be there, you want to feel home there. And then we have a bed, and we have some drawers under the bed to maximize storage. And we have the sofa that can be pulled out and made into a sleeping couch. And then the table. And then we have our TV that you can pull out, so you can watch TV from bed when you're laying at night, just want to relax. Or you can sit, eat your dinner, eat your lunch with a friend maybe. And then you can pull the TV out and sit and watch TV with them. Then you have the kind of kitchen area. You have a microwave that's like on the countertop. So even if you have a friend who's in a wheelchair, they are gonna be able to reach that microwave and like warm their food on their own. And then you have the mini fridge, a sink, and then lots of cabins and storage area for your stuff. And you have the shelf, again, lots of storage area. You can have a lot of things without the room feeling too cramped. And in the small little room we have again, more storage area. You can have your clothes in there so they don't like lay around the house, because when you have a small house, you don't want to have it too messy, because then it can feel really cramped. And then, of course, the dog bed for her 2 dogs, because that is really important.
And then we have the 4 things that reminds us of Sherry and we have dedicated to Sherry. We have the beautiful picture wall. You can of course change the pictures, so you can have pictures of your family, your pets, whatever you want. Because we noticed that Sherry had a lot of pictures of her family and she really loved her family. So she can have that up there. And then you're gonna see it more than if you had it higher up on a mantle, because every time you go to bed, you're gonna look at that wall and you're gonna think, oh, my family is here with me. And then you're gonna get a smile and you're gonna go to bed with a smile on your face. We have the dog bed, of course, because she has her 2 chihuahuas and she really loves them and it's important for them to have a space to be. Then we have the shelves. She had a lot of small stuff and small pictures like around the house, but we have decided to make a shelf with a lot of room so she can kind of gather her belongings so it's not as messy. And then on the table, we have some colored paper, some markers, because Sherry really loves arts and crafts, so it's important for us to give her the opportunity to do that in her own home. So all in all, it's a universal design. This can be used for everyone, but there's also a focus on Sherry as a person and what we kind of thought when we talked to her, because she was really nice and welcoming and warm and just such a loving person. And I think that was that.
What are some ways that if Sherry wanted to, she could alter the layout of her tiny home with the furniture that you've put in there?
Well, if you can go back slides. Well, you can always move the cabin. So say you wanted the couch where the cabin was, you can just move the cabin over to the other wall and move the couch there. So none of this furniture is made to be in the place that it is. You can move all of this around. So if you wanted to have the kitchen over where the bed was, you could move the kitchen over there, and then you could move the bed to where the kitchen is. So everything is changeable, and you can put the furniture wherever you would like it to be.
The bed, is that one bed frame? It looks like it might be part of the wall, like I guess the storage underneath it.
Well, that can be put by itself. There is a bed frame, but it is kind of covered by the quilt and the blanket. So it can be moved on its own, but it can also be on top of the storage unit. But we put it on top of the storage unit to make it to make more space, so you didn't have to have a storage unit somewhere and then a bed another place.
With the types of furniture you've chosen, have you thought about like the wear and tear of life and dogs, and like are there specifics with life with a dog? The dog bed, of course, yes.
Yeah. Well, everything like the shelves, the table, and also the kitchen. It's made of granite. It's made of wood. So it's all and metal, of course. So it's all very durable materials. It's not gonna wear out in a couple of years. So it's gonna be able to be reused and recycled in another home. If Sherry moves out, then she can give some of her furniture to other residents, or it can stay in the house for the next resident.
I noticed there's no curtains or window coverings. Is there any ways that you guys addressed privacy in the home?
We wanted to give that opportunity to the residents, so it comes without curtains, and then they can choose if they want to have curtains or they like to live without curtains. So yeah, that was because we wanted to see what more residents want it instead of only Sherry.
So I asked this for the last group, but this is my final question. If you have anything else, what was the most transformational thing that you guys learned about homelessness or the experience of our neighbors through the interview process?
Can I just really quick get the question again?
Right. What is the most transformational thing that you learned from the interviews?
I think it's what homelessness is really about. It's not just it's not just not having a place to live. It's all the worries that come with it. Like, where am I gonna sleep? Are the cops gonna pull me over for not, like, am I a place I'm not supposed to be? And I know that with Sherry specifically, she lived in her car and she told us it was very expensive because she needed gas to have the car running and the AC on the hot days. Otherwise, they would boil up. So the thing, like, where's your next meal gonna come from? How am I gonna keep the car running? Where am I gonna get money from? And the thing about, like, you hear a lot about homeless people stealing and stuff, you kind of understand why they need to do it. They don't do it because they want to, but they do it because they need to. And they need to do it to survive. So all, like, the deeper things and the reasons why they do as they do when they're homeless kind of makes more sense to you. Har I noget at tilføje?
Well done. Yes, thank you.
so much.
Really love it.
And we have a little presentation of all of us. Yeah. First, we have a picture of me. My name is Emily, and I'm 19 years old. The next one is Malte, and he is also 19 years old. And then we have Sine, and she is also 19 years old. And here we have Martin, and he is also 19 years old. And at last, we have Laura, and she's also 19 years old. Yes. So we have a little presentation about homelessness. Yes. And first of all, I want to talk a little bit about the condition of homelessness and specifically chronic homelessness. And chronic homelessness is described as the experience of those who have been homeless while struggling with a serious mental illness or substance use of disorder or a physical disability. And mostly people who have experienced chronic homelessness have been homeless for more than a year or in 4 episodes over the last 3 years. Yes, and homelessness is an issue to the health, but also the costly in lives for the ones who have experienced homelessness. And then we have 2 graphs, and at the first graph, the one in the top, it shows a timeline for the chronic homeless people in the US. And the second graph at the bottom shows a timeline of all homeless people in the US.
Yes, and the resident we talked to was James, better known as Mississippi. And he was born in St. Louis, but growing up, he grew up in Mississippi. And growing up, he didn't have like a father figure, so it was just him and his mom. So there was like a lack of discipline and structure in his life. So he was like the class clown in school, but he did good. He did just enough to get through, so that wasn't a problem. And he has a son. He's 6 years old, and he lives with James' sister. and he had a career in the tech industry. And in 1995, he moved to Austin because Austin has jobs. But he left his fiancée, so he was homeless for over a year before he got in contact with and moved into the Community First Village, which means everything to him today. Yeah.
Our project.
Yeah, we made a mood board before we made the house. First, we have our company name, Comfy Dog Interiors, and our company logo. We came to the idea through our own lives and experiences. Then we have our resident, James Honda, who we interviewed in the Community First Village. We have chosen the colors blue, white, and green for the house, and a beanbag because James loves a comfy place to sit when he sees football. That means we also have chosen football players. Then we got a cap because James likes caps. We got a community because it's important for people to come in a good community when they were left in and homeless. It's also important to have a mini fridge for the food in the house, and important with a bed so the person can sleep well and safe. James like tech industry, and we got a plant that makes life inside and outside. In the end, we got the Mississippi, the state where James come from.
So now we move on to the general design, also called the pinup. We, for sake of just keeping it simple, wanted to talk about it while you had the ability to look at it. So just go about, just keep the large image hidden, and then get the 4 out. Yeah. We had some rules we had to follow, and some general living things, such as the kitchenette, the microwave, the mini fridge, situated all kind of together, and of course you need a place to sleep, and a couch to be comfortable. But on top of that, we wanted some privacy. So it is a small space. How we were going to divide it was pretty hard, but having a comfortable and private bed area was one thing that we found very important. So there, I don't know if you can see it, there's a curtain going over, kind of closing off the bed. And that is chosen to be more universal, so that if another resident won't like that, they can keep it away. But if you want it, you can use it. That's also the same kind of thinking we went through with the curtains. Kind of just simple privacy. Keeping with our company name, Comfy Dog, we wanted to make it comfortable for people with dogs and animals in general. So you will find a small dog bed here, and by coincidence, the length of this space where we placed our bed is way taller than the average human being, making it very, very convenient to have space for an animal, a dog or a cat or something, if you wanted to sleep with the animal, as some people like to do for comfort. I think we will answer some questions afterwards if there are any with the design.
Yeah, then we got the exterior design. We put the colors from our mood board into our house, the white, blue, and green. On the porch, you can see we have these 2 walls set up, plant walls, which is chosen to give this form of privacy when you're on your porch, so you can be outside and still have some form of privacy. At the same time, you can see that it's possible for the resident to take out this sofa outside and put it in a more open space at the same time. So it is possible for the person to still be open to the community. Yeah, so the overall design of the community, First Village. Overall, we wanted to keep the same basic layout design of the houses, how the porches are towards each other, how each house design are all in the same area, and how the neighborhood families are made. The only things we have thought about was the toilets, which became very clear when we are at the community, that some of these small houses don't have toilets, and the people we were talking to said that toilet kind of gives a privacy, and toilet makes one, have this basic privacy that you love, and you don't have it when you're homeless. But of course, we get that it's not cheap to make a toilet for every small house, and so we haven't put it into the design of the house. The other thing we thought about on the overall design was this: these neighborhood families, maybe make them visible, maybe on the outside, but also on the maps we've seen throughout the website and when walking around, to make them see who are former homeless and who are neighborhood families you can go to. Yeah, those were our thoughts. Thank you. We're done. Okay.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. I love how much attention you guys spent on the comfort and the personalization aspects and privacy, especially with both interior and exterior. That was very creative. It seems like you guys put a lot of thought into those two particular elements. I would say my one question is how can a resident who moves into a home design that's set up this way alter it to fit their needs? Should they, have mobility issues as they get older, or if they just want to change the layout to see something fresh, how can the furniture be rearranged?
So it is a small space. I think we're going back now. It is a small space, which makes it hard to remodel. It would be easier with a big warehouse or something. But what I see as an opportunity is moving the bed. This is a sectioned couch. It could be moved so that you wouldn't have as big of a couch, but you could take the main section here, putting it up there would give your couch in there. If you just wanted in general more space, you could argue that maybe you could find some kind of furniture that was both a couch and a bed that would give you a bunch of space over here. But besides from that, there are some things that are wired in, talking about electricity kind of centered around here, making it easier. If you're going to do a 12-volt water system, it's all kind of right here, making it easier. So that would be hard to move. But the other things are kind of just moving that around.
Thank you. I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit more about the storage for clothes or other things, and maybe are there storage that's hidden here that I'm not even seeing? Is there something that, you wish you could say about storage?
I don't know how much is hidden. There's a lot to look at, so maybe you didn't look at it at first. We have some space in the closet that is not shelved, to be able to space maybe some boxes or something. If kind of moving in at first, you're used to having things in bags or boxes, or just in general needing to have something big when you move in and find something you want to store. And then you have a clothing rack, but also a bunch of shelves. You do also have some closed cupboards under the TV. That is kind of the main storage. But if you're going to talk about the ability to have some fruit or something, that could be in the fridge, but also just general kitchenware and stuff could be in the kitchenette area. I don't know if that what you're looking for.
I do really appreciate the multi-use storage with the cupboards. It looks like you can use it as a TV console to store clothing, but you could also use it as an extension of your kitchen. So that was very cool.
Yeah, I also like how your curtain by the bed, how there's a space between the curtain and the ceiling, because since I live in a small space too, that helps there be room for the air conditioner flow to get over to the bed. And so I think that's really, really great that you all thought of that.
I did purposefully move the air conditioner from over the door to the side, so that most air conditioners, you can point them in certain directions. So if you're going to go to sleep and you want the curtain, you could point it kind of upwards. Or you could, if you're going to be in the couch, have it moving as some air conditioners do.
Great. I just have one more question for all of you guys. What is the most transformational thing that you learned in the interviews you had with our neighbors?
I think that when we first met James, he just looked like a more normal man. But when we heard his backstory and this part of him that said he was a class clown, and maybe some of us could see that in some people, you know, being a class clown, and it doesn't necessarily come from him himself, but because of how he was raised and how he didn't have this father figure that maybe us Danish all have in our normal lives, and it's kind of touching to get that he's not just a normal man. He has this deep background that has made him the man he is today. When we talked to him, it was kind of interesting to hear and touching to hear.
Thank you so much. It was beautiful.
Our company name is Scandinavian Concrete Interiors because we are from Scandinavian, and concrete is a very good material to work with, and strong and safe. And this is our group.
And then a quick definition of chronically homelessness. It's an individual who has experienced homelessness for at least 1 year, and an individual who is struggling with either a mental disorder or physical disorders, or drug abuse, or all of them.
Chronic homeless is in a high level, and about 140,000 people was homeless in 2022, as you can see here on this graph. Our resident's name is Shay, and she's originally from Michigan. She has autism, ADHD, and manic depression, and she got diagnosed late in her life. She likes to work with plants and became homeless because of her mental health problems.
We asked Shay a lot of questions about herself and her past, and about the Community First Village, which is where she lives. Throughout her answers, we have found some bullet points, what we think describe Shay the best, and what she appreciates the most about her new life at the village. The first one is safety, a lock on her door. She said that she can finally feel safe at the night, and that the possibility to close and lock a door is finally giving her privacy and safety again. The next one is community. This one is also important for Shay, because a home is not a home without lovely people around to connect with. Community is also good for her health and for the feeling that she is not alone. Then we have scared of bad weather. She mentioned that she still gets scared when there's bad weather and thunderstorms outside, and therefore it is important to have something in her house that can help with this problem. The last one is mentally ill. She also said that in her past she had a lot of problems because of mental illness, which she found out late in her life, and therefore she had a very difficult childhood. Throughout the interview with Shay, we have made a mood board which symbolizes her personality. We used the mood board to create a tiny home.
And then we have the design itself, and this is the outside, which is, you can see the house is made out of concrete, and we just see the porch here, where we added 2 extra chairs if some guests wants to join in. Let's go. Yeah, she can bring the chairs inside as well if you want guests in the house. And then we have the interior itself. We got some in the closet. We got a space for putting up your clothes, and we got a dresser as well. And then we put the bed there next to the window, so you can look outside. And the mini fridge as well, we thought that was going to be on the floor, so it's very accessible. Um, and there is also, you can see a small TV, and there's also a small table which we found a place for, so she can eat in there as well. And there's, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a rug on the floor just to create a bit more of a hygge. We focused on that a lot. That is like cozy and nice. Yeah.
And then we chose some specific items we put in the tiny house. The first one is a speaker, and that is to meet the problem with the weather when she is sleeping. So maybe she can set the mood with a bit of music, and then sleep. And the next one is an extra lock, because that just give you a visual of the doors locked, like you can see. And I know personally that makes me feel safe. So maybe that helps her as well.
And then we chose to add a basket as well, because we saw a lot of people had animals out there, so either for a dog or a cat or whatever, and we just chose pink because Shay liked the color pink. And then on the outside as well, on the porch, there's a plant box as well, because she liked to work with plants in the garden, so we thought maybe she could do it herself at her own home.
And just to add, the speaker and the lock is maybe more universal and could be put in every house, where the plant box is maybe not for everyone. And that was everything.
I'll say first, I think it's really nice that you considered her mental health in the layout of the design. It seems very simplistic, not too cluttered. It does make me wonder about possibilities for storage. So can you talk just a little bit about the different storage areas?
Yeah, as you can see, we got in the closet here. That's one of the possibilities if you open it. And then you can see up in the top picture that there's a dresser as well. And that's what we thought. Yeah, about space. And we forgot to add before, there's no curtains, but that's on the purpose because we thought maybe not everyone wants that. So we chose like one-way film instead, so you can look outside, but they can't look in from the outside.
I noticed the microwave is a little high up. Did you take any considerations as far as accessibility issues go? For instance, if Shay were to become mobility challenged, needed a wheelchair or something like that, how could we rearrange this home without changing the actual structure?
Yeah, a wheelchair person maybe wouldn't be able to use the microwave, but I think there's space on top of the fridge or something, but yeah, it's a bit high.
I do love how the home is made out of concrete, and I wonder if you thought about our Texas weather and climate when you thinking how that would help the home stay cool, or just other ideas you had when you thought about our climate and how to keep the home cool, and how concrete helps with that probably.
We actually didn't thought about that, but I think concrete is a great material to meet the weather, both if it's rainy and stormy, but also if it's hot.
I just thought like if you like been in a forest before and it's raining a lot and you live like in a wood house, you can hear a lot of things and noise, but which isn't the same here. So it's like better if you like were homeless and you couldn't sleep. There's less noise now because of concrete.
All right, I just have one more question, unless you have anything else. What is the most transformational thing that you guys learned through the interviews?
maybe that I hadn't thought about that she has had problem with sleeping when it's bad weather, because I don't have that, because I always lived in a house like. But it's like they got some issues that I don't want to say normal people, but we don't got the same issues, and there was great learning about that, and get the perspective of their life and issues.
The past few days, we have the past few days we have worked with the Mobile Loaves and Fishes Community First Village. Yes.
And then we have created a company name and a logo. And the message by the name and logo is that there is always a place for you. And we have chosen the color red because it means love and warmth.
And then we get to interview a person who named Billy, and this is Billy's mood board. As you can see, he likes PlayStation, Minions, Superman, and a bed. And these are the colors that Billy likes. He also likes a mini fridge, Scooby-Doo, the movie Sin City, plants, and a cat.
We have found 4 reasons for homelessness in the US. The first reason is economic inequality. In the US, the upper class have a greater benefits like taxes. But the US system is generally unstable for the poor people.
And the second reason is poverty, and the working class don't have the same opportunities as a rich family. And many Americans has the ideology that you have to be able to handle yourself. And then there's a big difference between rich and poor. As example, are you rich, you mostly hang with the wealthy people. And the third reason is lack of health for mental health. The American healthcare system is based on insurance, so if you're not insured, you have to pay for it yourself, and it will be expensive.
Yes, the 4 reason is background. It has an importance on which family you grow up in. If you grow up in a New Zealand family, there have you better condition for the future. Or if you grow up in a efficient family, for example, if you don't grow up with a father and you grow up and your mom is a drug addict.
Then we have 2 diagrams, and the first diagram shows chronic homelessness in the US, and these are people who have a mental illness or have been away from home for a year or more.
Yes, and the second diagram, here we see a diagram of homelessness in the US. In 2021, the number was lower because of the pandemic, counting disruption.
Also have a bit about Billy's story. He grew up in he was born in Hawaii, but he grew up in Atlanta. Growing up was hard for Billy. He didn't really like school, and in school he also had a couple of bullies. And then we asked him how did he end up in Austin. Billy, he had the bad friends who were bullying him, and then he got stabbed in the back, which led him to catch a ride with a trucker, which then ultimately led him to San Antonio, where after he walked to Austin.
And then we asked Billy about how he learned about the community village. And he said that he learned about the village from a lady who he went to church with, and where she had shown him the videos of the village. Then they went to the center and applied and got it. And living there means a lot to him, having a place to live and not having to worry about safety from different kind of animals when he lives under a bridge.
Yes, and then we have created the house. We chose to design the house based on how Billy's home looked. That's why the walls outside are a light gray, as you can see. And the roof is made out of wood. And that's for symbolizing life itself. And the plant outside is just for some decoration. And then we included the red chair outside to symbolize that there is always a place for you to sit. Yes, and the inside of the house is also inspired by Billy's home. We chose the colors blue, gray, and red because of Billy's passion for Superman. And again, based on how his own house looked. We chose a wooden floor to create warmth, and the blue color because again he likes Superman. And the bed sheets are also red because of that. And then, as you can see, the house is very simple. So we incorporated simplicity and organic design, like the wood floor, and the rug is made out of recycled fibers. And on the window there is window film instead of curtains. Yes.
And then we also have 4 personal things for Billy. The first one is the PlayStation, which he uses a lot in his free time. And then we also have the Superman logo, which is someone who he idolizes because he wants to help others. And then we also have his cat, which is his favorite animal. And then we also have the Scooby-Doo, which he loves to watch and play with.
I just want to say, first of all, the design is beautiful and very simplistic. I think that really lends towards the mental health issues. A lot of the time, the clutter can be sort of the biggest overwhelm for a lot of our neighbors. Although it doesn't look like there's a ton of storage, could you speak a little bit about the storage capabilities of the design?
Yeah, it's because my computer couldn't fit it because it's too old. So there was a little many problems. So yeah, it's simple.
Could you speak a little on the accessibility part as well? If Billy were to have something happen where he would need a wheelchair later on in life, how could we rearrange the furniture in this room to better accommodate him?
We haven't thought about that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Knowing Billy and the things that he loves, have you thought about ways that Billy can personalize the space? I think it's great you left it very simple, and I am wondering what you envision, knowing him, how he can make it his, personalize it.
As you can see, there is a lot of space. For example, right here. So there's room for some stuff he likes, if he wants to put it in there. And he has a little table there, and can also put stuff on there or in if he wants to. Yes. Or maybe some in the closet also, a little bit.
Did Billy talk at all about how many visitors he likes to have over? Are there ways that you incorporated that into the design as well to allow for room for people to come visit, or to facilitate community in his home?
That's how many visitors he normally has, so we don't really know.
You did mention he had a concern for safety. Did he just speak about the animals, or did you also incorporate things in the design that speak on safety from people, from weather, for any other kind of conditions?
Important thing for him was to stay inside and not have to worry about animals. That was his biggest concern, just to have a roof over his head, so he could be alone and safe at night, and not be afraid of the different kind of rats and spiders.
As far as you know, the window film, does it help block out our harsh Texas sun? Is it? I'm sure that's part of why you chose that. I'm curious what you've thought about that.
It was just a temporary solution.
So I see that the organic design was a very specific choice. Can you speak about the motivation behind that?
The motivation behind the organic design was it was organic and it was pretty. Yes.
Great. One more question. What was the most transformational thing that you learned through the interview process?
We get the question again.
A transformational thing, the most transformational thing you learned in the interview process. So something that was surprising to you, that opened your worldview, that changed the way that you think about homelessness.
What's one of the biggest things you learned from the interview process?
Probably the fact that more homeless people live together on the bridges. They tend to stay together when they live alone.
You all did really great. Thank you so much.
This is us.
Homeless in Austin, Texas, compared to homeless in Denmark. A service count 2,500 people experiencing homelessness in Austin, Texas. With 1 million people living in Austin, the proportion of homeless people account for about 0.25%. In Denmark, there are about 5,700 homeless people out of 6 million inhabitants, and that is equivalent to 0.095%. We can safely conclude that there are more homeless people in the city of Austin, Texas, than there are in the whole country, Denmark.
Yeah. So a reason for this is that in Denmark we pay a lot of tax, and through that we get a lot of social welfare programs, such as free healthcare and money when we are unemployed. So all of these homeless people in Denmark, they still get some kind of money, so it's not like they're starving. Um, yeah.
The person we talked to at Community First Village used to play football and he loves the game. Billy is an older man that has experienced several things in his life which caused him to be in the place he was when he became homeless, just as the Mobile Loaves and Fishes believe is the cause of homelessness. We assume Billy has lost his father as he did not want to talk about him. The loss of contact could either be because they simply don't talk or because he passed away.
He was born in Hawaii and come to the state of Texas when he was about 6 years old. Billy likes to look back on his time in Hawaii as a happy time. Later on, he had a tough childhood. He was bullied in school and it contributed to his dissatisfaction with life. Pre-homelessness, Billy used to work in a small grocery stores, which did not appeal to him very much. It was simply a way for him to stay above water economically. In the Mobile Lovers and Fishes, he worked a little bit so he can earn money for rent and little things.
Our company name is Greenport Interior. The name is a combination of different things we want to our design to reflect. And the color green is calming and strengthening, and it's said to be good for the eyes. The color green is a symbol of hope and harmony, which is two important things that we want to incorporate in our design. The incorporation of this color and the atmosphere it creates takes this design from a house to a home.
Yeah. So some of the meaning in our name, the word port, it's supposed to mean like a gate. So when you step into this home, we've tried to achieve what we in Denmark call hygge. I think the closest translation would be like cozy.
And in order to do this goodness, design and develop our mini dream house, we've created this mood board to set the atmosphere. We've incorporated elements of Billy's time in Hawaii, both in the choice of color and in the writing on the door, which says aloha, which we want to highlight that it both means hello and goodbye.
And then in our interview, we found out some of the things that Billy liked to spend his time on, and we have incorporated all these things in our design and our mood board. And it's elements of American football, memories, video games, Superman and Scooby-Doo. Yeah, and then also plants and books. And this is the interior design. First of all, I would like to talk about our thought process in the designing phase. We started with thinking, how could we make it a universal design, so almost any human being could move into this place and find that their needs was met. So we have made a lot of storage, and we've tried to make it all very accessible. So we have a lot of drawers, and we have drawers under the bed as well. And also in the kitchenette we have cabinets, and then we have a little mini fridge and a wash, a sink. After that, when we found the fundamental, the universal design, we would want to incorporate Billy's and our mood board into the design. And first of all, we actually started with making this wall green, because green port, and then we took some plants into this house as well. After that, we took some American football, and put a helmet also and a logo from one of his favorite teams. And he also liked video games, so we have a monitor. this place would be used as a desk as well. So, and then we also took his cat into the apartment. It is in the drawer under the bed, and then we have the plants and other things he likes as Superman and Scooby-Doo as well in the design.
And it's important to say that this is all created within the guidelines and to make it accessibility, and it's also able to be customized to the next one.
Also, we've thought a lot about safety as well. We have a low bed, and we don't have high places or things that could easily fall out of the drawers. That's why almost all of the drawers is closed, because then things won't fall out. And
also with thought to the fact that Billy is an elder man.
This is the exterior design. As you can see on the windows, we have painted the screen port, and we have you can't see what it says, but it says Aloha on the door, which on white means both goodbye and hello. So we thought it was very nice to put on the door here.
This is just a clean slate, but we didn't know if we were supposed to put the things into it. That was it.
Well, first, I want to say thank you so much for talking about the difference between homelessness in Austin versus Denmark and creating that systemic perspective in the beginning of the presentation. And I also really appreciate how personalized this design is, while also staying true to that universal design, so that it can be changed up. Can you, let's see. Can you speak a little bit more about the choice for mini blinds as the privacy and your choice to not have furniture on the porch?
Furniture on the porch, we thought actually that we didn't actually know how to place, how to furniture the porch, because we didn't really know what Billy would like on the porch, and Billy's porch itself, we don't remember it actually had anything on it. So that's why we just thought to make it not furnished. We didn't put furniture.
And the mini blinds?
The blinds is also because when we interviewed Billy, we asked him if there were one thing that he could change about the community village. He said that the security might be better. And so we thought we might want to create a safer space in his home where he could just close the blinds and he would feel like he wasn't all the time surrounded by other people. So he could choose to be a part of the community when he felt like it.
Also, that's actually also part of the universal design that we started with, because we heard you said that when people move in, they tend to start off with closing all the blinds in the houses because they need to fit in. They wanted to just stay at home in the start, and then they could open up the blinds when they're ready.
I love all of the storage, the under the bed and the cabinets and the I love how you used the space, the tall space, that you took advantage that you could store things higher. I really like that you did that. Are you thinking would Billy need a step stool to get to his upper cabinets? That would be something he would need to keep stored somewhere?
Also, if the step stool would need to be stored somewhere, I think you could just put the step stool under the desk if it's in the way.
Yes, I also really love that modular desk kitchen area. I think Billy could use that in so many different ways.
Could you speak a little bit about your choice to have the exterior walls be made of stone?
I think that the green is part of our earth tones and it create calm space, and we think that the stone really complements that.
Can you tell me more about the chandelier, the lighting above the bed? Can you tell me more about that? It looks really pretty.
We just tried to make it, as Rasmus said, that we want to make it, when you go into this home, it's hygge, it's cozy. So we put in a chandelier also because lighting is very important in a house. It's very important to have good lighting. So, and then we could incorporate that with some green stuff, with the plants. That's also it's also affects the air quality positive.
It makes sure that the light isn't so sharp and white when you enter a room.
Great, thank you. My last question is, what was the most important thing you think you learned from the interviews with Billy?
I think that it's things can change very suddenly.
All right, thank you.
Everything about it. Well done. Thank you so much.
We are Pink Ring, and my name is Lykke, and this is Nicoline, and Maja, Ida, og Lærke, og Lise. We will start to talk about the definition about being homeless. The definition of homelessness is when an individual doesn't have their own home or room. A homeless person lives in places that are not meant for habitation. It could also be places like living in emergency shelters or traditional housing. There are a lot of reasons why a person become homeless. The most typical reason why a person become homeless is often that the person has lost a family members, one or more family members. Besides that, it could also be because the person has a physical health problem, low education, or criminal past.
In Austin, it's mostly men who are affected by homelessness. About 59.2% of the homelessness in the US are men, and only 40.8% of them are females. In addition to gender, age also plays a big role in the relation to homelessness. In the US, the homelessness to below 18 is 20.92%. Between the age of 19 to 64, there are 73.37% of homelessness. At the age over 65, the percent of homelessness is only 5.71%. As a result of corona, homelessness increased in Austin and became a bigger problem.
To be at home somewhere is more than just simply having a place to stay. A home is created and developed over a long period of time, and it has a psychological and social significance. It is transformed by memories into a place of identity, order, care, and connectedness. And it is a place where a person feels a sense of rootedness, and a place in which we know what we are and who we are in this world. Safety is also very important to feel at home. It should be safe to relax and to be yourself and vulnerable, but at the same time it should be a place for hospitality.
Yes, so we talked to a resident in the village,
and we talked to Shia, and you can see a picture of Shia right there. And she is from Michigan, and then she moved to Austin when she was around 1.5 years old, because her sister was going to college in Austin. She has a very hard time growing up because she has some diagnosis like ADHD and autism. So she was homeschooled by her mother, but that was very difficult for her because she felt very lonely, because she have her diagnosis. So she had a very hard time learning, but she loves her family, and they meant all to her. But it was very hard for her family to understand her, and what she needs. So she finished high school, but ended up dropping out of the college and became homeless. But later she moved back to Austin, because it was the closest to hometown for her, and she felt safest in Austin, and she spent all the day in the library because it also was there she felt safest. At the night she slept on the street. Then one day a guy who was working on a gas station saw her and asked to come over to the village, and then he wanted to help her. So it took her a year to move into the village, but normally it takes under a year, so it's taken her a little bit longer. And the closest to a career she had is working in the village, where she takes care of the animals and movie nights and greenhouse. So she feels very safe in the village, and that's it's so important for her to feel safe.
So this is our mood board for building the home to Shay.
And our company is called Pink Ring, and the ring symbolizes the wholeness and the harmony, and and we wanted to create that for our client. We wanted to create the connection between the rational and the emotional, and what matters for Shia. And the house is created in collaboration with Mobile Loaves Fishes and their happy house.
And for our happy house for Sia, we will look on the emotional considerations, and about hospitality, we found a bed and a sofa and a chair. And for her privacy, we took some curtains and a door with a lock so she can feel safe. And for rest and relaxation, there is also the bed and the sofa and a TV. And for personal expressions, we found some plants, an easel, teddy bears, and a cat because she likes the garden and plants, and she likes animals and teddy bears. Yeah.
And I want to talk about the functional consideration and the accessibility and universal design. We have a microwave on the counter here next to the sink. So it's easy to reach. And we also have some storage options. So she has a dresser and a table behind or besides her bed. And then she has to have some clear floor area so she can open the door. And then durability and maintainability. We chose some standard dimension materials so we can minimize the waste and cost of the tiny house. And then some doable materials and components so it can hold for a long time. And then for flexibility in the design, we have some elements like she can move the dresser if she wants it to be another place, and then she can also move the bed. Yeah, because it's the seal. It can be everywhere in the house. Yeah, and then she also gets some natural daylight because of the windows, but we also have curtains if she wants some privacy. Yeah, this is our house, and then she talked about the cat and the plants and a teddy bear to maybe feel a little bit more safe because she is really scared. She was really scared when she was on the street, so it's important for her to be safe in her house. Yes. And that's it.
First of all, thank you so much for talking more specifically about the gender and age differences in the homeless population. I think that's really important to consider, especially with the neighbor that you spoke to, Shay. As a woman experiencing homelessness, it's very different. And to be able to customize a home design for her was really special to see. I also really love that you spoke on the marks of home, what makes something a home instead of a house. It's very important when we're talking about color theory and flexibility in design to think about how people feel safe and comfortable and secure in their homes. Could you speak a little bit more about the privacy in the home? So you said the curtains were optional in the design. Is there any window film, anything on the porch? I don't think you guys talked about the porch at all. There we go. Great.
But we have window film. We have window film. Yeah. And curtain.
Yeah, and then we have a chair in the porch so she can sit outside maybe if she wants to do that. And then some plants. Yeah, just to feel comfortable.
Is there a reason behind choosing a armoire instead of shelving for the clothing storage? I don't know if there's another word for that. The movable closet. Instead of having it be shelving, it looks like it takes up a little bit more space like that. Is that intentional for any reason?
No, I just think we chose that one. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine.
I know you mentioned about that it's really important for Shay to feel safety. And I wonder if you could talk about which features you feel like, and maybe it's colors or maybe it's the locks on the door or things like that. What things do you feel like help Shay feel safe in her home?
So there is a lock on the door, and then we know that before she went to the village, she used to spend a lot of time in the library. So we have chose to put some books in there. So she had something personal and maybe something to help with her finding her identity. And then like the animals and the plants, because that's something she really likes. She have like her diagnosis, so she may be a bit different from some of the others. So we found it very important to make it her space and a space where she felt safe to be her and be vulnerable.
I see that there's an inclusion of a microwave, correct? But is there a mini fridge included?
Ew. There is a mini fridge.
It's
next
under
to,
the counter.
Like yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. What do you think is the biggest thing you all learned from the interview with Shay?
To be thankful and appreciate things that we have and maybe things that we usually take for granted.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Beautiful.
Hi, my name is Pernille.
My name is Mathilde.
And my name is Selina.
And my name is Mathilde. And my name is Lærke. Oh, and this is our presentation about homelessness in the US.
There are a lot of different reasons for homelessness. Some of the different reasons could be financial problems. If a person is not able to earn money, the person can afford to pay rent, pay off a possible debt, food and medicine.
And the second reason is addiction. Bad mental health can cause an addiction, for example, drugs and alcohol. When you have such an addiction, it's hard to keep a job and earn money.
And the third reason is bad childhood or family problems. And your childhood has a big influence on your future life. So if you had a bad childhood when you didn't get the love and attention you needed, it could be a problem in the future, because you need support and advice from your family to get a better chance for a bright future. And the last one is poverty. So if you grew up in a poor family, it is very hard to break the social heritage and therefore can lead to financial problems.
And then we want to tell you a little bit about our resident story. We met at the village, and Emily is 56-year-old lady who has lived in community first village for 8 years. And Emily lived on the streets for about 12 years before moving into the village. And when Emily was a little girl, her mother abandoned her and she had to live with her dad, who worked all the time. And her dad didn't treat her very well and wasn't very supportive, which made her feel like she had to grow up way too fast.
Later, her dad got a new wife who became Emily's stepmom, which didn't make her childhood any better. We didn't get a very detailed version of her childhood, but she said she would never ever wish for any kid to have a childhood like hers. She was a slow learner in high school, and she barely made it out. Right after high school, she got her first job at Burger King, and when she was done with high school, she got married with her husband, and they moved from Houston to Austin.
And later on, her husband died, and she became homeless, probably because of financial problems and no help from friends and family, but we don't know the main reason. For some years, Emily bounced between her friends, but eventually got kicked out and went back to being homeless. And this is when the owners of Community First Village found her and offered her a home. And here we have created a mood board which describes Emily pretty good. Emily has a cat that she loves very much, and her name is Elsa, and it's named after the movie Frozen. And Emily is a very kind person who loves her boyfriend very much. She cares very much about others and makes sure they feel good and comfortable. And Emily has always helped other people a lot more than she helps herself.
and she has a balloon which mean a lot to her, and she got it from her boyfriend.
When Emily is sad, she likes to listen to music and pet a therapy dog that she feels safe around. Safety is a big deal for Emily, which is why we decorate a room where she can feel safe and comfortable. That is also why there is a lock on the door.
Then we have the company logo and design, and our our company name is Turtle Design, and that's because we are trying to make an more environmentally friendly approach to this cause that you're all working with. So yeah. And then we have Emily's house that we have designed. Here are some significant things that we have like incorporated into her house, and you can see there's a picture frame, and that's a picture of her and her boyfriend, and then there's the balloon her beloved balloon that she got from her boyfriend, and then there's Elsa, you can see sleeping on the couch, and then we have also taken a picture of 2 turtles, and that's not because it's important to Emily, but it's important for our business because these turtles are actually made from plastic collected from the oceans, and I'll talk more about that later. Here you can see Emily's house from the outside of each angle, and if you look at the porch up there, we've given her a swing, and here here she can maybe sit at the evening and drink a cup of tea or sit with a boyfriend or invite a friend over. She also has 2 chairs and a table where she can be together with her friends if she'd like to. Emily cares a lot about privacy, so it's a very situation if she wants to invite people over. And then there's 2 lamps, and that's because, of course, they want to have good lighting in the evening. And then we have painted the house pink because when we first met Emily, she was wearing this very cute pink shirt, and the first like impression we got from Emily was like how kind-hearted she was and how sweet she was, and then we kind of like associated this pink throughout the whole house with how she was making us feel. So that's why the house is pink. Here you can see the house from each angle on the inside. And as you can see, we've lifted the bed up, and that's because we want to make most use of the space that we were given. And then there's a staircase, and you're probably thinking that's a bit dangerous for a woman, an elderly woman to use, but the staircase has wheels and is actually adjustable. Also, there's like a piece of wood on the side of the bed so she can't fall out at night. Under the bed there's a couch, as you can see on the other pictures, and in front of that couch there's a TV and a small dining table where she can sit with her boyfriend or a friend or just sit at night and eat her dinner. And then we have given her a kitchen, and there's a microwave, which is also like kind of an air fryer. Then we've given her a mini fridge, a stove, a sink, and some storage compartments that she can like store her utensils in and other stuff that she needs. Then we can see her closet, like a storage locker she has. Here she can store all her clothes or her cleaning supplies or food or just anything she'd like. And because the staircase has wheels, she can also use that at the storage locker so she can get up to the very top shelf, and therefore she has more storage. Then we've given her blinds on each window, and that's because Emily cares very much about her privacy and her safety and needs to feel safe, so she can turn the blinds down if she wants more privacy. And then we have a lot of small stuff throughout the whole house to just make it more homey and more hyggligt. For example, some plants and a painting, and here you can see the house from the top, and as you can see, there's a lot of storage possibilities and a lot of room for guests. We were trying to make it as we're trying to have as much free space as possible, so it's possible to walk around and not have a lot of small things that you can maybe fall over or just like trying to have a very minimalistic home. Then there's a lock on the door for her safety, and there's a lot of room for her cat to play. And then we would like to talk a bit about goodness and how we've incorporated that in the home. And goodness to us is making sure that other people feel comfortable and being good and kind towards others. This is something that Emily showed us right when we met her. We incorporated this through the significant things that we had in the house. As you could see, the balloon was there and the picture frame and all of the stuff that was on her mood board. And this is what makes this house into her home and not just a house. We also incorporated goodness by collecting the plastic from the sea into the sculptures of the turtles. And also all of the furniture that you see inside Emily's home is upcycling, which means that they don't get entirely new furniture, but they get to choose from a lot of other furniture, and then it can be upcycled and maybe be even better. Therefore, we have also not only thought about Emily, but also the world and how we as a business can reduce our footprint on the world. And it's also a financial decision because new furniture is for each resident. Maybe some residents won't even get to live there for that long. If they get kicked out, for example, then if you have to buy new furniture each time, it can get very expensive. So it's also a financial decision. And yeah, that's it.
First of all, I love the pink. I think that's very Emily. I love the personalization of the design. I did wonder about, you spoke a lot about the flexibility of the design and how it could change based on Emily's needs as she gets older, or if there's a different resident that moves in. Could you speak a little bit about the capabilities of the furniture to be rearranged for someone who is using a wheelchair?
We made this house specifically for Emily, and we think there's a lot of possibilities for other people to live in the house. I think there might be some difficulties with a wheelchair in it because of the uplifted bed, and that would be a problem. But if there were money for it, there could be like a device that could help them get into bed. I think that's like the most difficult part. That's like the staircase that they would have to get up on.
And then the porch design, I love it. It really fosters a sense of community, allows for a lot of company on your porch. It's also very comfortable. The sconces or the lighting on the outside, I love. I would love to know what material is it a pink tile? What is on the outside of the house?
Yeah, it's like stone, and that's like it's built of stone, and then there's tiles on the outside, and that was mainly because we wanted it to be like sturdy and not like a house that would just hold for one season and then you would have to build a new one. So like invest the money into building a sturdy and good house so it can last for a longer time.
I know that sustainability and durability and upcycling is all very important to your business. What would you do if a piece of furniture does start to get old or show signs of getting worn out? In your model, what would you do with the furniture? Trade it out or have people paint it? Or I'm sure you're kind of envisioning what you would do.
I think if a piece of furniture were to like wear out, I think of course the people who own the place, us, owning the business, we would help the resident and of course invest in a new furniture. But the whole meaning of this like upcycling is just that each resident, it would be very expensive and sometimes unnecessary to buy entirely new furniture for each resident. So for the most part, try to upcycle the most furniture that you can.
And your roof, did you say what your roof was made out of? Is it wood, or you have a shingle or a rock? Or just looks, you chose it because it's beautiful?
I don't really know what kind of material it is. It was just
Looks nice.
roofing.
Yeah.
All right, last question. What is the biggest thing you learned in your interview with Emily?
I think it is that she talked a lot about her experience on the street and how sometimes people could like throw a can of soda at her, or like she would feel disgusting, and like how people treated homeless people. And I think that was kind of like an eye opener for us, that they can't help being homeless. They can't help that they can't shower every day, and they never deserve to be like abused or anything by other people. I think that's not that we would do that before, but like it was an eye opener how tough it was not only to be like homeless and not have a place to sleep, but also how you would almost be hated for just being homeless, and people would be disgusted by looking at you. I think that was like kind of a surprise to us, that people could be like violent towards homeless people just because they could.
Thank you so much.